Nilesh Shah. It's a privilege that he's on board with us with his wonderful years of experience, and he'll be sharing with us all the knowledge that we as parents, teachers, caretakers, or siblings need for kids who have disorders of anxiety to handle their tantrums. We are happy to have Dr. Varsha Dawani with us, who is a project chairman and helped us to get in contact with Dr. Nilesh Shah. Further, I would like to hand over to Dr. Varsha for further assisting in the program. Thank you.
Uh, Hello all, good evening.
Good evening, Dr. Varsha.
So on behalf of Rotary Club Ulasnagar, I heartily welcome Dr. Nilesh Shah. Sir needs no introduction, but still I am privileged to introduce him. So slide. Uh, just a sec, sir's introductory slide, just a sec. Yeah. Dr. Nilesh Shah sir needs no introduction. He's but still, I have the honor of introducing him. This is the way Dr. Nilesh Shah sir likes to be introduced. So first I'll introduce him his way. According to sir, he was a class monitor in the third standard. He got third prize in the running competition in the sixth standard. He acted in a drama in ninth standard. And he's working at Sion Hospital, Mumbai as a full-timer since 1988, as he did not get attachment at any other hospital as consultant. Sir likes watching Hindi movies, traveling and roadside food, and he is married and has twin daughters. And he describes his personality as over-anxious. This is the way Sir wants to be introduced, but Sir forgot to mention that he is extremely versatile speaker and he has so many years of teaching undergraduates, postgraduate and nursing students. He is a recipient of many awards, including Best Paper Award of Bombay Psychiatric Society, the President's Award, the Shanti Niketan Award of Association of Industrial Psychiatry, and the Spirit of Mumbai for Disaster Management. He is a popular teacher, clinician, and research-minded psychiatrist with good ability to speak. He is an active member of Indian Psychiatric Society, and he is a teacher to whom any student would not mind going whenever he is in problem. And the best part of Sir is, if you call Sir and the call is missed, he himself calls up and asks us what is the problem. So such is his greatness and humbleness. So today I welcome Dr. Nilesh Shah to enlighten us about anxiety disorders in children. As we all know, anxiety disorders are on rise, especially during COVID pandemic. So now today, Sir will enlighten us and give us solutions for this problem. Over to you, Sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Varsha. I'm very happy to be over here today, and I'm grateful to all of you for giving me this unique opportunity to be over here and to make a presentation on this very useful and important topic of what we call anxiety disorders in children. As we all know, that all the psychiatric disorders which occur in adults can also be seen in children. So children are not immune to any psychiatric disorders. Whatever psychiatric disorders I can develop, you can develop, even our children can develop the same psychiatric disorders. And that is also true for anxiety disorders. But since the children go to school, their main manifestations of anxiety are related to their school. So what I plan to do is, we in our clinical practice, I have come across this 5 different types of anxiety disorders in day-to-day clinical practice. One is what we call over anxious disorder of childhood. Second, school phobia or refusal to go to school. Third is what we call separation anxiety disorder, where the children are afraid of separating from their parents. Social anxiety disorder, where children prefer to remain alone and avoid social situations. And elective mutism, so where they speak only with their family members whom they are familiar with and do not speak with strangers. So I'll present these 5 cases so that we have some idea, and either during the session or at the end of session, if you have any questions, please feel free to either interrupt me or ask me the questions at the end of the session. Let me start with the first case, what we call over anxious disorder of childhood. We had this Geeta, a 12-year-old girl who was brought to us by her mother. The mother said the problem is that she gets very, very anxious few days before the exams. As soon as the exams are announced, say for example, today, she goes to school and teacher says that next Tuesday, we are going to have an exam. So for 1 week, she'll be very, very anxious. She would come home and tell her mother, Mom, next week mera exam hai. She will start walking up and down in the house. She would not able to sleep at the night. She would ask for repeated reassurances. Mummy, next week exam hai. मैं पास तो हो जाऊंगी ना, पेपर इजी होगा ना, मैं फेल तो नहीं हो जाऊंगी ना, मुझे कम नंबर तो नहीं मिलेंगे ना, अगर मेरे कम नंबर मिले तो आप लोग डांटोगे तो नहीं ना. And she will keep on doing it again and again every day, to the extent that parents will get tired of her. When I talk to her that, Geeta, how do you feel when the exams are there? And she said, as soon as the exams are announced, I come to know that my exam is there. I feel very, very tensed. मुझे तनाव महसूस होता है, tension लगता है. This is excessive tension. Then she gets irritated and loses her temper easily. She announces an emergency situation in her house. She says, मेरी exam है, तो कोई आवाज नहीं करेगा, कोई टीवी नहीं चलाएगा, कोई खेल नहीं खेलेगा, मुझे पढ़ाई करनी है. So if the father wants to see the news and he switches on the TV, Papa TV बंद करो, मेरा exam है. If the younger brother wants to play in the house, मुन्ना तू खेल मत, मुझे disturb हो रहा है, शांति रख. So she declares emergency, and during her 1 week till she finishes her exam, nobody can do anything. Everybody has to sit quietly so that she can study properly. Now our question was to the mother that does it become over anxious only during exams, or she becomes over anxious during other situations as well? Because there is one type of anxiety disorder, what we call performance anxiety disorder, where whenever the person has to perform something like appearing in the exam or going on the stage and participating in elocution competition or appear in the quiz competition, they become over anxious. But here mother said that no, even when there is a fun and frolic, she becomes over anxious. Say for example, instead of exam, today teacher announces that next Sunday we are going to go on a picnic. Now all the children will be very, very happy and they look forward to the picnic. Unfortunately, this will be a tension causing situation for Geeta. She will become very anxious and tell mother, Mummy, Sunday को picnic है, मेरे कपड़े तैयार है ना, मेरी बैग तैयार है ना, पिकनिक में कोई प्रॉब्लम तो नहीं आएगा ना, बस टाइम से आ जाएगी ना, मुझे बस में उल्टी तो नहीं होगी ना, मेरी ट्रेन छूट तो नहीं जाएगी ना, वहाँ पिकनिक में बारिश तो नहीं होगी ना. Variety of situations she would start worrying about which can go wrong during the picnic. Other children will be bindas, they will really enjoy the picnic, and she will not be able to enjoy because she will be over anxious all the time. If the picnic is in the month of December, still she will carry 2 umbrellas with her, because once in a while it can rain in December also. And when I asked her, why do you want to carry 2 umbrellas? She says that, see, 1 umbrella for myself. If it rains, then I have to cover myself. I don't like to get wet. But if it is raining and if I am under my umbrella and my teacher is getting wet, then I will feel very, very bad. So what I do, I'll keep 1 umbrella for me and 1 for my teacher. So she has to carry 2 umbrellas even if the picnic is in the month of December. This is typically what we call over-anxious disorder of childhood. Anxiety disorders are quite common in adults also, and some people like me are also over-anxious. Say I am relatively over-anxious than the other people in my house. I stay across Bombay Central Station. If the train is going to leave at 5 o'clock in the evening, I have to be on station by 4 o'clock. If I am not on the station, then I become over anxious. I start worrying. I start getting palpitation, tremulousness, excessive sweating. So what I do, I am ready by 4 o'clock. I go and sit at the station. My family member says, you don't have to go and sit on the station at 4 o'clock. You can leave at aram se 4:30, just go across the road and within 5 minutes you will be on the station. But because I am over anxious, I reach the station at 4 o'clock, then I am relaxed. Once I am on the station, then I am waiting for the train to come. Over anxious. We get sometimes invitation for some party or some reception ceremony. On the card, it is written 5 to 8. I read 5, my wife reads 8. So what happens that at 4 o'clock, I become hyper and say, chalo, taiyar ho jao, jaldi jaldi jana hai, come on, fast, we have to reach by 5. And my family member says, no, we don't have to reach by 5. The function starts at 5 and it's going to end by 8. And even if we go by 6 o'clock, you don't have to punch and give attendance over there. We can easily go, aram se. But I am over anxious. So I hurry everybody. And invariably, instead of 5, we reach there by 4:45. And when nobody is there, Dulha Dulhan has not come, the host has not come, and we just simply sit there waiting for everyone. Dulha Dulhan comes at 6 o'clock, then photo session starts. Until that time, we keep on having our starters and cold drinks. And we end up not having our dinner because we have eaten so much before the dinner. Similarly, 1 or 2 children in each class, first standard, second standard, third standard, in each and every class or each and every division of 50 students, you will find 1 or 2 children who are over anxious. And because they are over anxious, they have this problem. So they face the problem and even the parents have the problem. What do we do for these children? 2 things. 1, emergency management, and 2nd, long-term management. In emergency, the parents bring them to me on Saturday and saying Monday iska exam hai and he is very, very tense. He is not able to study. He is not able to sleep. Do something. And I start him on some medicines, anti-anxiety medicines, so that his anxiety decreases, his performance anxiety decreases, and he is able to appear in the exam. So Saturday I give him medicine, he sleeps well in the night. Sunday he can study well. Sunday night he sleeps well, and Monday without having much anxiety, he can go to school and appear in his exams. This is an emergency measure. I also start, once the exams are over, for the future exams, for the future events, we start a counseling session, what we call as cognitive behavior therapy and relaxation therapy. we teach the children to relax, how to relax in difficult situation. So simple relaxation therapy we teach them. And second, we help them to understand at cognitive level, at thinking level. So we try to find out what are the cognitive errors, what are they thinking, what are their self-talks, what are the automatic negative thoughts, what are called as ANTs, automatic negative thoughts. If you ask them, say, if I fail in the exam, my parents will scold me. If I fail in the exam, my friends will stop talking to me. So each and every this kind of thing, we talk to them and we ask the parents, or we tell her that go and ask your friends, would they stop talking to you? She would go and ask her friends that, would you stop talking to me if I fail in the exam? And they say, no, everybody fails in once in a while. Nobody can score full marks every time. Even the best player like Sachin Tendulkar cannot hit a century every time he goes to play. So once in a while, he also gets bowled out for a duck. So gradually, with cognitive behavioral therapy, we try and help her to change her thinking, change her over anxious thinking, and also teach her relaxation, so that over a period of time, she can relax and appear in exams or participate in variety of events without becoming over anxious. So this was one of the most common disorder, what we call generalized anxiety disorder or over anxious disorder of childhood. Coming on to the second, somebody has raised hand. Do you want to ask some question? Jitesh? Okay.
Jitesh, do you have to ask something or shall we move on? Sir, you can please move on, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So second disorder which we see is school phobia. As I told you that over anxious disorder is very, very common, and we see 1 or 2 children like them in each division or each class. So maybe 1 in 100 or 2 in 100 children develop this kind of disorder. School phobia is very, very rare disorder. In the whole school, if there are 1,000 children, out of 1,000, one child may have school phobia. Sheena, a 13-year-old girl, when she was brought to me, she was in 6th standard. She has stopped going to school for last 2 years. Why she has stopped going to school? Because she gets severe anxiety when she goes to school, and so she avoids going to school. What does she do for 2 years? She studies at home, she takes tuitions and goes to school only to appear in the exam. Because principal said that if you don't appear in the exam, she cannot be promoted to the next class. So just on that day of exam, parents lift her up, say Ganpati Bappa Moria, put her in the car, take her to the school. She sits in the library away from all the children. She would write all the papers as fast as possible, and then she will come back home. I talked to her and she said, Doctor, I don't know what happens to me. I want to go to school. I'm determined to go to school. 100% I enjoy my school. I want to meet my friends, but I don't know what happens to me. In the evening, I iron my uniform. I put my books, arrange my books in my bag according to the timetable. I sharpen my pencils and pen and everything I keep ready. And next day morning, I wake up at 6 o'clock. I brush my teeth. I get ready. I put on uniform. I'm determined to go. But I don't know what happened at very last moment. When I have to step out of the house, my anxiety starts building. It becomes so much that I can't step out of the house to go to school. And then I tell myself, no, today I can't go to school. The anxiety is too much. I'll go to school tomorrow. and that tomorrow never comes. Tomorrow, she says, again tomorrow, again tomorrow, again tomorrow. And 2 years have passed. She's unable to go to school. She says, doctor, मुझे कुछ hypnotize कर दो, मुझे कुछ injection दे दो, मेरा कुछ operation कर दो. I want to go to school. Do something and help me. Please do something so that I can go to school. Initially, parents forced her to go to school. They will lift her and take her to the school and make her sit in the class. After 4 or 5 days, her class was on the 4th floor, and she told the parents that today my anxiety increased to so much that I could not bear with the anxiety, and I felt like jumping out of the balcony of the 4th floor. And the parents were scared that suppose she jumps out of the balcony, she will lose her life. So they said, okay, even if she doesn't study, it's okay. She can stay at home and continue to study at home. This is typical school phobia. There are 3,000 different types of phobias. You say a name and you can have a phobia of that. Say, for example, you have tridecophobia. That means fear of number 13. So some people are afraid. They can't travel by bus number 13. They cannot enter into the bus number 13. They do not buy 13 things. So they have a fear of 13. It is something like superstition also, but they have phobia. A friend of mine has a dog phobia of dogs. We are walking on the road and there are so many stray dogs on the city of Mumbai, on the roads of Mumbai. We are walking and we come across a road sitting little away from us. My friend stops. He says, Nilesh, I can't go forward. I say, see, he's just sitting. So many people are going up and down. He's not doing anything. He's just lying down. He's sleeping. He says, I know. I understand that he's not going to bite me. He's not going to harm me. He's just a dog. He's just lying over there. But I can't go ahead. It's an irrational fear. I understand it's irrational. But the fear is so much that I have to avoid dog. So then we cross the road and walk on the other side of the road. Now, unfortunately, in Mumbai, there is no law that says that dogs can be only on the left side of the road and cannot be on the right side of the road. So after walking for some times on the right side of the road, we again come across our dog and then he will again stop and again we end up crossing the road on the other side. So if we have to go from one place to another, we don't go from point A to point B straight. We start from A, cross the road, go little ahead, again cross the road, again go little ahead, again cross the road. And that's how we reach our destination. He wants to avoid dogs in all situations. If you have a dog in your house, he will not visit you. If you have a dog in your house, he will not even call you, because if he calls you and he hears the dog's noise, pow, 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 he'll get severe anxiety. So these are the things which are called phobias. Phobias means irrational fear associated with avoidance behavior. People have fear of crowds. People have fear of heights, fear of going to theater, fear of staying alone in the house. Variety of phobias people have. And in children, what we see is school phobia. We try to help these children. Unfortunately, majority of the children were unable to help them. In spite of giving them cognitive behavior therapy, counseling, medicines, behavior therapy, they may or may not improve. So nowadays, either we change the school, and some children are happy that in one particular school they can't go, they can go to some other school, or we write a letter to the school principal saying that this child is suffering from school phobia. As a result, this child is unable to attend to the school. So kindly allow her or him to continue the studies at home. So Sheena now for last 2 years is doing study at home. The tuition teacher comes home during the school hours and she studies at home. Every day in the evening, she calls her friend and says, "Aaj school mein kya kya sikhaya?" Whatever her friend says, कि आज हम लोगों ने ये chapter किया, ये sums किए, ये examples madam ने दिए. She learns it from her friends and she learns it by herself. So this is another disorder which is good that it is relatively rare, which is called as school phobia. The third disorder, which is again an anxiety disorder, which I would like to share with you, is what we call separation anxiety disorder. This disorder is little different from school phobia in the sense that in the school phobia, child refuses to go to school. Even if the parents accompany the child refuses to go to school. Here, the child refuses to separate from the parents. If the parents are willing to come to school, he will go to school. If the parents are coming with him to go to park or garden, he will go to park or garden, but he will not separate from the parents. Raju, a 6-year-old boy, he also refuses to go to school and sit in the class without mother. मम्मी तुम चलो, मम्मी तुम मेरे पास बैठो, तो मैं बैठता हूँ, मैं पढ़ाई करता हूँ. But if the mother says no, I am not allowed in the school, you have to sit alone, he refuses to go to school. He is reluctant to go with his friends or cousins to park or a garden or to their home without the mother. If the neighboring children are going to garden, he says, oh, हम लोग सब garden जाएंगे, बहुत मजा आएगा, चलो चलो मैं भी आता हूँ, मैं भी आता हूँ. Then when they start going, he says, Mummy, tum bhi chalo. And Mummy says, no, I have some work in the house. You go with them. He will not go. He says, nahi, Mummy, tum chalo, to hi main jaunga. Agar tum nahi chaloge, to main nahi jaunga. He wants Mummy all the time. 100% of the time, he wants mother. Mummy, Mummy, Mummy. Mummy ki dum, Mummy ki puch. He cannot stay even for a minute without Mummy. He also, even if he's 6 years old, he insists on sleeping with the mother. Mother is very, very upset. Mother says कि ये मुझे 1 मिनट के लिए भी नहीं छोड़ता है. मैं स्नान करके बाथरूम में जाती हूँ या पॉटी करने के लिए टॉयलेट में जाती हूँ, तो ये बाहर खड़ा होता है और हर 2 मिनट में नॉक करता है, टक 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 टक, मम्मी जल्दी बाहर निकलो, मम्मी जल्दी बाहर निकलो. अभी एवरीथिंग तो 2 मिनट में नहीं कर सकते हैं, बट इनको आप कौन समझा है कि अभी मम्मी यहाँ पर ही है, किधर नहीं गई है. She has gone just for a bath or a toilet and she will come out. But he keeps on stalking me. मेरे पीछे पीछे ही घूमते रहते हैं, मुझे 1 मिनट के लिए छोड़ते नहीं है. This is what we call separation anxiety disorder. There are some children who do not separate from their mother, even when they are old, 6 years old, 7 years old. Now, I think we are to be blamed to some extent for this situation. If you want to see a child having separation anxiety disorder, you should go to school on the 12th June, the first day of the school, and go and stand outside the nursery class at 8 o'clock in the morning. There are 4 teachers who are inside the nursery class. There are 40 children with their mothers, 40 mothers outside the nursery class. All of them are waiting for the school bell to ring. As soon as the school bell rings, this 40 children has to go inside the class. The 4 teachers pull them inside the class. Mother push them inside the class and they start crying because they don't want to separate from their mother. So there is a loud noise, they are crying, and sometimes even mothers start crying, and they are all forcefully pushed inside the class. They close the gate and the children are crying. Mothers are crying outside the class. And then this is a kind of typical situation. This is again a kind of separation anxiety disorder where a 3-year-old child is separated from her mother on the very first day of the school, and he is very, very unhappy and he is afraid of separating from her mother. Children do not have object constancy. That means if my mother is in front of me, she is there. If she goes to some other room, then I understand that she still exists, but she is there in another room. Children may or may not have this idea. So they feel if the mother has gone, she has gone. She will not come back, and they feel they are abandoned. So for that matter, it is very, very important that their separation anxiety is taken care of. For this purpose, we are responsible to some extent. I went to school when I was 6 years old. By that time, I was separating from my mother. I was living independent. I was going out. I'm going to friend's place. I was going to garden. I did not have any anxiety, and I directly went to the school in the first standard. Now, some of the educationists, some of the psychologists, teachers, they felt that 6 years is too late to go to school. So they introduced kindergarten, junior KG, senior KG. So that instead of 6 years, children started going to school at the age of 4 years. Then somebody thought that 4 years is also late. We should send the children to the school at the age of 3 years. So then they started a concept of nursery. So now 3-year-old child has to wake up early in the morning, get ready, put on uniform and go to this nursery class early in the morning and sit there alone without his mother. I think we should have stopped there. But unfortunately, we have not stopped there. Nowadays, we have school for 1.5-year-old children, which is play school. We do not realize that, see, if you put 4 or 5 1.5-year-old children together and say play, they cannot play by themselves. They do not have idea how to play amongst themselves. A 1.5-year-old child can play with his mother, he can play with his father, he can play with his older brother, but he cannot play with another child who is 1.5-year-old. He doesn't know how to play. So this play school is too early a concept for children to come together and play together. Now, before that, now there is a school which starts at 9 months, which is called as mother and child school. So mother also goes to school and child also goes to school, and they learn together what is called as kangaroo school, kangaroo kids. So now the children go to school at the age of 9 months, not 1.5 years. And now some parents told me that they have enrolled in the school when they are pregnant for Garbha Gyan, like Abhimanyu. So mother, when she is pregnant, she enrolls herself and her to-be born child to the school. She starts going to school and starts learning about nursery rhymes and other things, thinking that their child who is still inside the womb, he will also learn like Abhimanyu. What do we do for this situation? We take these lectures in various schools, and in many schools we have been there. We have kind of talked to the Parents Teachers Association. We have talked to other people. We recommend that first day of the school, everybody is inside the class. 40 children, 40 mothers and 4 teachers. Everybody sits together. Over a period of 1 week, children develop little rapport with the teachers. They feel comfortable with the other children. And some children are little bindas. So they sit alone and the mothers can start sitting outside the class. It's an open door. So the child can do some drawing, painting, whatever activities he has to do. If he wants to meet his mother, he can come out and show his mother, say, Mummy, मैंने ये drawing किया, ये मैंने ये किया, ये मैंने खिलौना बनाया. Again, mother says, very good, go inside the class and play. I am sitting over here. He goes inside, he knows his mother is waiting outside. Whenever he wants to come out and check, he can check the mother is sitting outside. So inside, outside, there is a mild separation. On the second week, mother says that, do you want a chocolate? And the child says, yes, I want a chocolate. So she says, okay, wait here in the classroom. I will go across the road, buy a chocolate for you, and within 5 minutes, I will come back. The child, because he wants a chocolate, he sits there for 5 minutes waiting for the mother. Mother goes out, goes across the school, buys a chocolate, brings the chocolate for him and gives it to him. He waited for 5 years. He separated for 5 minutes. and that behavior is rewarded by a chocolate. So now he feels that yes, mother keeps her promise, she goes, but she eventually comes back, and I get a reward for waiting for the mother. After a few days, when the child feels more comfortable, he is more familiar with the school, he is more familiar with the teacher and other children, mother says, I'm going home, I'll come back after 2 hours to pick you up. Till that time you play, and when I come back, I'll bring you so and such things. And then the child learns to gradually separate from the mother. No force, no anxiety, no worries. Gradual separation from the parents. So some children have this what we call separation anxiety disorder, where they cannot separate from the parents. And these children require a kind of behavior therapy to separate from the parents. My fourth case and second last case is what we call social anxiety disorder. Here, the children are less social and they feel comfortable staying alone. Vikas, a 7-year-old boy, he was described as very shy child. He doesn't make friends easily and prefers to remain alone in the class. He does not eat his meals with his classmates, does not initiate conversation, does not recite poems or tell stories in front of the class, and he avoids social situations like birthday parties or school get-togethers. This is typically social anxiety disorder, or what is also called as social phobia. These are the children who feel very, very uncomfortable in social situations. Even we have some adults like us who feel uncomfortable in social situations and we avoid social situations. Whenever these people go to social situations, they feel very, very uncomfortable. They get flushing, burning, and they feel that they will put themselves in embarrassing situation. So they perpetually avoid any social gatherings. If there is somebody's birthday party, somebody's get together, somebody function, some meeting, everything they avoid. But otherwise, when they are alone, they are comfortable with themselves. So the way we have it in adults, also some of the children have this what we call social anxiety disorder, or they are also described as shy children. What do we do with them? Many parents ask me, many teachers ask me, what do we do with these children? I tell them, respect their shyness, respect their social anxiety disorder. If they are not very social, do not force them. You may encourage, but do not force. So in the class, teacher can say, Raju or Vikas, would you like to recite a poem? If he feels comfortable, he will recite. If he says no, he stands quietly. Okay, you don't want to recite, it's okay, fine. Please be seated. No scolding, no punishment. Let him have his own time. Whenever he will feel comfortable, he will say his name, he will recite a poem, but no force at all. You respect, and over a period of time, these children will overcome their social anxiety and start mixing with other children. The parents can help them to overcome their social anxiety by initially making only one friend. So they ask, would you like to be with one of your friends? If he says yes, then call only one friend at a time at a residence. So only 2 of them will talk, they will play, they will do something, they will eat together. And then after some days, when he feels comfortable, one more person is added. So now instead of 2, they are 3. Gradually, over a period of time, depending on the comfort of the child, you work on the social anxiety and help him to overcome his social anxiety. You may encourage, but do not force. If you force him, he will stop going to school. So for parents, teachers, respect his social anxiety, Have lots of patience and tolerance with him and encourage, but do not force. And same is for the last case, elective mutism. Alia, a 9-year-old girl, she does not speak at all in the class. Was detained in second standard twice as she did not speak at all in the oral exams. She is very good at written works. She does extremely well. She gets 80% in her written works. But because she does not speak at all, the school people did not promote her to the next class and she was detained for 2 years. But she has full vocabulary. She is a chatterbox at home. She speaks well only at home with her parents and her younger brother. With parents, she speaks so much things. Whenever she comes back from school, she says, आज स्कूल में ये किया, आज स्कूल में वो किया, आज टीचर ने ये सिखाया, हम लोग रिसेस में ये किया, वो किया. Everything she speaks, and she is almost like a chatterbox. Parents had brought a video कि देखो कितना घर पे बात करती है, पर स्कूल में she doesn't speak at all. Even if there are some guests at the home, she will not speak. So she does not speak either in the school or outside the house or in front of any stranger. And this is her problem, what we call elective mutism. This is also a disorder, and the treatment for that remains the same. Respect the child who has elective mutism. You may encourage her to speak, but do not force her to speak. Do not punish, do not threaten. If the teacher in the class says, I'll punish you if you don't speak, I will throw you out of the school if you don't speak. If the teacher ridicules her, punishes her, shouts at her, scolds her, she will stop going to school and she will be miserable, but she will not speak. So please, 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 as a teacher, as a counselor, as a parent, as a brother or sister, respect these children. Do not shout at them, scold at them, punish them. You may encourage them. The teacher can say, would you like to speak? Would you like to tell me your name? If she is comfortable, well and good. So what we did, we wrote a letter to the principal that she is suffering from a disorder called elective mutism. As a result, she does not speak during oral exams. So kindly allow her to appear only in the written exam and do not force her to appear in oral exams, and promote her to the next class based on her performance in the written exam. And principal was very nice, very considerate, and now she is promoted to the next class even though she did not speak at all in the oral exams. So these are the variety of disorders which we see in our clinical practice, particularly in children having anxiety disorders. As I told you, over anxious disorder of childhood, school phobia, separation anxiety disorder, social anxiety disorder or social phobia, and elective mutism. So thank you very much for this opportunity. And if you have any queries, I'll be happy to take them.
Thank you, sir, for such a presentation. Am I audible? Thank you. Thanks a lot, sir, for the complex topic that is for Sir, there are a couple of questions can I ask, sir?
Varsha ji, there is a disturbance at your end. We cannot hear you.
Hello. Am I audible now?
Yes, Varsha, you are audible
Hello.
now. Yeah. Varsha ji, Dr. Varsha, there is some disturbances. You put yourself on mute. Yeah, mute yourself. Okay, thank you. If anybody has a question, I would be happy to take that.
Yes, Dakji, you can ask your question.
I have a question that my child gets very much violent. He hits elder people when जब हम उसकी कोई बात नहीं मानते या क्या तो बहुत गुस्सा हो जाता है and he starts beating his grandparents and even me to his parents also. So I want to know how to control his anger.
Yeah, okay. So this is not the directly related question to the topic, but it's related to the children.
Yeah.
So see, what we call, there is a disorder, what is called as oppositional and defiant disorder, or what we call Ziddi Bacche. So for these kind of children, we have two important things. One is what we call behavior therapy, where we reward the good behavior and we stop the reward or withhold the reward for the bad behavior. So suppose he would demand something. If you feel that his demand is reasonable, then you can give him. But when you feel that his demand is unreasonable, Varsha, can you mute yourself? Varsha, put yourself on mute.
Sir,
Huh.
your voice is not audible.
Okay, now is it audible?
Yeah. Now it's audible.
Okay. So see, whenever the child makes a reasonable demand, you can fulfill the demand. Wherever you feel that the demand is unreasonable, then you put your foot down and say it will not be given. He'll shout, he will scream, he'll become aggressive, he will violent. You have to hold him very, very tight and show that you are the boss. And he will try and throw a temper tantrum once, twice, 3 times. But still, if you do not fulfill his demands and show that you are more powerful than him, then gradually that behavior will stop. But every time when he throws a temper tantrum, you reinforce it by giving him whatever he wants because he has thrown a temper tantrum, then that behavior will increase. So very important.
Actually, this thing is happening, sir. We have to fulfill his each demand. He's very stubborn kind of person.
Yes. How old is he?
He cries a lot. He's
How old is he? Yeah. So see what you are doing. Try to understand what you are doing is you are reinforcing his behavior. I will give you an example. You go to Dadar market to buy aloo, potatoes. Yeah. Now he says, भैया कैसे दिया? 30 रुपये किलो या 40 रुपये किलो. You say नहीं भैया 35 रुपये सब जगह मिलता है. He says 40 रुपया 35 रुपया 40 रुपया 35 रुपया. You bargain. ये आपकी जिद है. temper tantrum you are throwing. Suppose he says, "Ah, बहन जी लेके जाओ 35 rupees." You know कि वो 5 रुपया कम करता है. Next time again you will go there. वो कैसे दिया भैया? 30 रुपया नहीं, 25 रुपया पूरे बाजार में मिलता है. Give me for 25 rupees. 25, 30, 25, 30. Finally he gets tired. Say, हाँ बहन जी लेके जाओ. Every time he yields and reduces the money by 5 rupees and yields to your demand, you are happy and you will continue to throw temper tantrum and bargain every time. Suppose he says, बहन जी एक ज भाव 40 रुपया 40 रुपया, आप आ जाओ, आपके हस्बैंड को भेज दो, आपके बच्चे को भेज दो, 1 किलो ले लो, 10 किलो ले लो, एक ही भाव है, 40 रुपया ही है, 1 रुपया भी कम नहीं, 1 रुपया भी ज्यादा नहीं. You will shout, you will scream, you will threaten, but he will not reduce the price. You will do it once, you will do it twice, you will do it thrice. You will realize कि ये कभी भी भाव कम नहीं करते हैं. You will stop bargaining. So what change you need to do is that what you are doing, वो रोता है, जिद करता है, आप दे देते हैं, थक जाते हैं. What you need to do, reasonable demand, give it to him so he doesn't have to throw the temper tantrums. Unreasonable demand, you remain firm. कितना भी रो, 1 दिन, 2 दिन, 3 दिन, नहीं यानी नहीं. You put your foot down and say नहीं. एक बार उसको समझेगा कि हाँ रीजनेबल डिमांड फुलफिल होती है, मैं जिद करता हूं तो नहीं मिलता है, कितना भी रहूं, 10 दिन तक रहूं, खाना पीना बंद कर दूं, फिर भी नहीं मिलता है, then he will stop doing it.
I'm getting your point, sir.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, there is a question over here by Praveen Parmar. What is the difference between phobia and fear? I fear cockroach and also avoid crawling insects. Okay. If it is a rational fear, we have to be afraid of cockroaches, we have to be afraid of lizards, we have to be afraid of honeybees which will sting us, we have to be afraid of mosquitoes because if we get a mosquito bite, we will develop malaria. These are rational fears. We have to be afraid of jumping from the top of the building or crossing the road in the middle of the road. These are rational fear. We have to be afraid of them. Whenever there is an irrational fear with avoidance behavior, it is called phobia. So all the children go to school. None of them are afraid of school. All the people walk on the road. They are not afraid of a dog sitting over there. But if somebody is afraid of that dog sitting on the road, it's an irrational fear. So rational fear, fear is rational. Yes, good. All of us are afraid of certain things. Because we are having a fear that we will develop COVID, we use the mask, we wash our hands, we keep social distancing. Good. Fear is necessary, it's good. But if it becomes irrational fear, to the extent that because of COVID, you lock yourself in one room and do not come out of the house at all for 2 years and do not meet anyone, do not speak with anyone, then it's an irrational fear, exaggerated fear. It becomes a phobia, COVID phobia. Or you get yourself tested 100 times in a month, it becomes a phobia, irrational fear. Does it answer your question? Mr. Praveen Parmar ji?
Praveen ji has left.
Okay. Rotalian Shaida Simran ji has raised her hand. Please, Saida ji.
Simran ji, you can ask your question.
Namaskar.
Namaskar.
Thank you, Doctor. Myself, Rotarian Sayyida Simran from Karachi, Pakistan. I just want to know, can a child outgrow an anxiety disorder when it should be cured, or what is the best time that we have to think about it? Best time we have to. Am I audible?
Yes, yes. See, Varsha, you will have to put yourself on mute, because whenever you try to speak or say something, it's a machine gun which starts. Okay. So see, all of us are different and our children are different. Some children are absolutely bindas. They are not afraid of anything. Some of them are like us, little anxious, and some of them are extremely anxious. Now, on different situations, in different situations, we are anxious, we are not anxious. Similarly, in some situations, children are anxious, with some group, children are anxious, with other groups, with familiar situations, they are not anxious. So majority of the children can overcome their anxiety and then they are fine. See, first time you remember as a child, you had gone to the stage and we had so much of anxiety. We couldn't speak, we forgot our whole speech. But over a period of time, as we started going to the stage, as we started participating in elocution competition, gradually we overcame our anxiety. Similarly, children also overcomes their anxiety. So majority of the children will be able to overcome their anxiety gradually over a period of time by repeatedly participating in their that event. Suppose first time you are afraid of going to some party or some birthday party. Once you go, twice you go, thrice you grow, you enjoy that situation, you overcome your anxiety, you overcome your fear. If you are going for swimming, initially you are afraid of swimming, but once you go, you enjoy. Second time you go, you enjoy. You realize that all your fears and anxiety are misplaced. You start enjoying and you start swimming and you overcome your anxiety. So children initially may be anxious, but over a period of time, they are able to overcome their anxiety. If they are not able to overcome their anxiety by themselves, then yes, as a counselor, as a psychiatrist, as a parent, as a teacher, we can help them to overcome their anxiety. So, okay, thank you very much to all of you and for giving me this opportunity. And if there are no more questions, then we can end this session over here.
I think there is some problem. There are heavy rains going on in Ulhassanagar. Network issues going on. So, friends, I would just take over as President Manisha ji. I'm sure Dr. Nilesh sir has guided us very well through the anxiety problems of the child. We have all benefited. Sir, we thank you for your time and giving us such a beautiful presentation. I'm sure many people would be benefited from this. And we would also be disturbing you in the future also for some similar cases. Thank you. And I would request everybody to kindly join me for a hearty vote of thanks, please. With this, friends, I would officially, because there is a thunderstorm, I think the president or Varsha ji is not able to speak. So I would like to announce that the meeting is adjourned. Now we would just join for fellowship. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.